Hi everybody, this is John from Envision Robotics. Thanks for tuning in to our tutorial today. We're going to walk you through how to create your very own Battle of the Tops top. And so these are coin tops. So what we've done is we've designed our top and we've created a little slot underneath so that you can insert your coin. It works well for both Canadian and US currency. We started out creating the 1 cent design. We put these on Thingiverse, and so you can download your version there. We've also created a Thingiverse post where we have, again, the 1 cent, but also the 5 cent, 10 cent, 25 cent regular size, and then we've created an oversized version. With the tutorial today, what we're going to do is walk you through how to create the 25 cent, I'll call it a standard version. So let me just transition over to another template here. So one of the first things you're going to want to do, and this is optional, but what we did was we went and found a PNG transparent image. You can also work with a JPEG, but we found a PNG transparent image of a saw blade. It's like clip art. And then what we did was we created a SVG version and imported that into Thingiverse. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do that on this particular tutorial, but I will post another tutorial on how to go and take a PNG image and convert it into an SVG file that could be then imported into TinkerCAD. Okay, so I'm going to keep a version of this here. So I'm going to just make a copy and I'm going to bring it over to the center of my screen just like that. The size of our top today, at least the bottom part here, the blades, 34 by 34 by about 1.5 millimeters high. Another thing that you're going to want to do, and I've already done it here, is go actually figure out the size of a US or Canadian quarter, if you're Canadian. The US quarter is 24.26 millimeters by 24.26 millimeters, and it is 1.7 millimeters high. So I usually create just a version of that so I can kind of get a sense of size. So do that when you have a moment. Go and create a disc that is that size. You can use a cylinder and size it accordingly. Okay. Once I've done that, what I want to do now is I want to go and create my unique shape that I'm going to use as the slot to insert the quarter. So I'm just going to start out with my quarter size here. Now I find when we're doing 3D printing, we want to make it a little bit larger in size so that we can actually insert the quarter. So I like to work in a light color. That's just my own personal choice. So I'm going to make it, because it's 24.26 by 24.26, I'm going to make the dimension of our slot to be 25 by 25. And I'm going to take the depth here to be about 2.1 millimeters. And so a little bit of this is experimentation with your own printer, because sometimes you'll find that you might need to make some adjustments. But I found that those dimensions work for my particular printer. I'm going to just rotate this on 90 degrees, and I'm going to bring it flat on the platform. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shave off a little bit of the bottom. Okay, and I'll show you, because what we're doing now is we're making the unique design to actually fit the quarter. So you bring over a box. There we go. And as I said, I'm going to shave off the bottom, and I'm going to shave off approximately 5 millimeters depth. And I'll show you why. Because on the underneath of our top, we want the about 5 millimeters below the bottom of the top of our quarter showing. So that looks about right. And I'm just going to, I really don't need to center this, but I just like to center things just to make sure everything is fine. I'm going to use my group tool and I'm going to shave that off. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag out another box that is a hole. I'm going to make this one 5 millimeters high. And I know the depth of our our quarter slot here is 2.1, so I'm going to make this one 2.1 millimeters. Okay. Now, in terms of the size of this is going to be fit underneath our quarter here. I'm going to actually make this the dimension of our US quarter, which was 24.26. So I'm going to make this 24.26. Very good. I'm going to align these two over here. Let me just do this. Boom. I use my align tool. I'm going to align in the center. I'm going to align in the middle here. And I'm actually going to align on the bottom. And I'm making this unique shape. There. How's that? Okay. I'm going to turn this one into a hole as well. And I am going to then group this. Boom. So now I've got this shape, and you'll see a little bit later that what's important about this is that this size here allows my quarter to go in, and it'll fit nice and snug up here, but it's these little bit of a protrusion here where you've got the rounded aspect of the quarter, which will keep it in. Okay, so good. So I've got this unique shape here, and this shape actually is really important. Make a copy of it because you can take this shape and you can use it multiple times as you change the outer appearance of your top. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to start building my bell shape for my top. I'm going to go here and I'm going to use a paraboloid, drag that out onto the screen. Now, I know that the dimension of this is 34 by 34, and this is of my blade. So I only want a little bit of my blade showing. So I'm going to make this to be 33 by 33. And again, from experience, I want my dome to be about, well, I'm going to make it about 30 high. Again, you can experiment with this. My oversized one is about 40. I'm going to bring it over and I'm going to align these just like that, just like that. Now I'm going to group these using the grouping tool. Now I'm going to preserve the original color so you can see the serrated edge that we have here. And I don't like too much of the edge to stand out, and the reason is that we don't want you to cut your fingers, right, when you're inserting the quarter. Now, as I said, what I do is I make a copy of this so that I preserve the original, and I'm just going to move this over here. I'm going to use my align tool, just like that. And I'm going to group. Now, I've got this slot nicely in the center there, and what I can do is I can turn this into a hole for a moment, and I can see that I've got enough of the dome structure here that it's going to make sure that the quarter will fit inside nice, and then I've got enough up here that I can insert a little bit of a handle. Okay? So very good. And I'm just going to, I'll keep it like this for a moment and I'll tell you why. Because when we're inserting the handle, we want to make sure that we've got it down enough but not poking into where the quarter is. I often will turn my objects into a hole for a moment so that I can see inside as I'm playing around with my design. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use a polygon. We're going to use a polygon as the handle. You can use a cylinder, but we found the polygon really gives very good grip. And as I said, I like to work in light colors, so I'm going to make my polygon about 17 millimeters in height. And again, this is a little bit of experimentation on my part, and you'll play around with it on your own, but I'm going to make this one 8 by 8. Okay. Very good. So my polygon here is 8 by 8 and is 17 high. I'm going to go in here a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring this up and center it in a moment, but I want to make sure, okay, that should give me enough so that it's not interfering with the quarter. Look at that. I guess it was already centered, but let me just show you in case you're new to TinkerCAD, I want to go and align this. I group these two, use my align tool, and these gray out here when it's perfectly aligned. I'm just going to turn this one into a hole again, or sorry, a solid. Okay, so now I've got my handle on top. If you want to add a number, all of mine are numbered. And the reason I used numbering up here is that we did a bunch of different versions and I wanted to find a way to make it easy for everybody to follow along. So I'm just going to use an E for Envision. You don't have to do the way of personalizing. And if you're making a bunch of these different tops and you're playing with your friends, you may want to have a kind of an identifier or something like that at the top. I'm just going to quickly group this. Yeah, I'll group this here now. Perfect. I'm going to bring my little E up in a second here, get it aligned. Just move it up here. Let me see, is that too big? Let me get it centered here and just see. Now all of our shapes, yeah, that should be okay. Just insert a little bit more so it's not sticking out too much. There. There, that's not too bad. Okay, and I can group all of this again. And essentially I am pretty much there. I've now got this top and I've got, I'll make a copy of it here, okay? And as I said, I always like to make copies of things that I'm working on. I'm going to go here and I'm just going to slice it. So I know that the dimension here is 34. So half of that should be 18. And I'm going to make it, let me just move this over here so everybody can see it. I'm going to get these things aligned here. And let me bring it right up, this one here, so it'll slice all the way through. So I'm going to slice no. I think I said it was 18. I need to have this 17. Look at that. Make this 17, which then, once I align that, should be half. There we go. Okay, I'm going to group these two. And you'll see that I've got this unique design. Which will allow my quarter to fit inside. So if I go get my quarter here, I'll just make a copy of it and rotate this on a 90 degree. And this is a good way of checking to see how your design worked out. Now I'm going to move this up 5 off the platform. As we initially started out, we wanted our top to be about 5 millimeters off the platform. Let me just here, getting a bit of a lag here. Push this all the way down so it sits flat on the platform. And if I move, I'm going to align these first so you can see how this inserts here nice and okay, good. So now I'm going to take my quarter. And look at that, it should fit quite nice right in there. And you can see that it is this design here. So this, making this wider opening allows the quarter to go in, but it's these little edges right here that we've designed, which will actually keep our quarter nice and snug in there. We've got a little bit extra tolerance up here, which is good. So that's how you go and design your top for a quarter. And as I mentioned, it'll fit an American or Canadian quarter. So we hope that you post some videos. You go to our Thingiverse site, you design your own and post some of the makes that you've made. And be sure to like and comment and share this with your friends. Thanks everybody for tuning into our tutorial.